Yeah. Hey guys, all right, just before the show starts, I wanted to let you guys know that my fight against cancel culture is still happening. Please go to the description below. There's a link titled Support My Fight Against Cancel Culture. If you want to help my fight, please consider giving a bit of a donation. All the information is in that link. With that being said, enjoy the show. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Let's Talk. I am here with Eleutheria, or Beth, as some of you may know her as. And some of you, for those of you who don't know, Beth has a YouTube channel called Eleutheria ZA, or Eleutheria, and where she talks about everything liberty, freedom, and sometimes talks a lot of cock. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Just kidding. She had a very nice stream earlier today with Sebastiano, or otherwise known as the Drunk Questioner. I really enjoyed that stream. You guys were quite entertaining and talking about YouTube. So today or tonight, Eleutheria and I are going to talk about social media and the effects of social media on adolescence?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Young adults.
So everybody let me know if the sound is okay, because, yeah, I had to adjust it earlier. And I see we've got the normal suspects are back. So we got McFarlane, McFarlane. Is it McFarlane or McFarlane?
I also want to know.
Yeah, McFarlane. And we have David Bushoff. Thank you for joining, David. Femme Fatale is here. Count Fontenkopf. And Yanni is also in the chats. All right. And Femme Fatale says it's okay. We love her for talking cuck. Yes, it's the best. Sounds good on my side. Excellent. Gentle Inflatables just joined us as well. All right. So, Beth, where would you like to start with this one?
Well, you gave me the option of a topic, and I just threw one at you, and you were like, "Yeah, let's talk about that." And the reason why I chose this topic was because I had read this book. Just let me know if you can see
Irreversible
that good.
Damage. The Transgender Craze Seducing Our Daughters by Abigail Schreier.
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 Yeah. So, I don't need to talk too much about what the book's actually about, but one of the things that she says near the end is how can we help our daughters? And she urged parents not to let their kids have social media at all. And she said, even yourselves, if you're on social media, don't post pictures of your kids on social media. If there's something you feel your friends and family need to see, email it to them. It doesn't need to be on there. And then Social Dilemma came out. And I watched it last, thought it was probably good preparation for this show. And yeah, you know what? It really is these little screens, really are affecting our kids. They're getting dopamine hits like left, right, and center. They're, if it's not playing Candy Crush and winning a level, it's opening your TikTok and seeing that you have 1,000 new views or likes or, I don't know, insert goal here. And yeah, it's just even followers.
And for those of you who don't know, Beth is a mother.
I am.
That wasn't her.
I am. And yeah, that was my middle child. And yeah, not a week goes by that my kids don't ask me how many subscribers I have on my YouTube channel, which is 248 for those of you who care.
Let's bring it up. Link in the description, guys. Go subscribe.
Yes, please. Thank you. But it's not only I actually forgot where I was going with this.
Well,
Help me get there.
when you get, you'll probably think of it in a moment. You were talking about followerism, the reasons why kids and the screens take up most of their time. Something that was interesting about the social dilemma, and for those of you that are also interested, I will be talking to a tech guy about this. Yanni Vandervolt will be joining me next week to talk about the tech aspect of it, the more in-depth conversation about that. What I like about this conversation is we're talking about the kids here. Now, I'm not a father, but I do feel there was one scene in that documentary that really pissed me off. And I think some of the snowflakes are going to be triggered when I say this, but remember that scene when they're at the dinner table and the mother decides, hey, no phones, and then she goes and she puts the phones in a cookie jar, I think. But it's a cookie jar that locks and it's got a timer on it, so you can only open it after a certain amount of time. It's impossible to open otherwise. So she gets all the kids' toys, all the kids' phones. So I think there's 3 of them or 2 of them. I can't remember. 3, and they put their phones in that cookie jar. She locks it. Done. They have dinner. It's all to have dinner, to like conversate with each other once again instead of them being on their phones during dinner. And all of a sudden, this the youngest, I think, goes to the cookie jar and she breaks it to get her phone. And then she just runs off upstairs. And then the father looks at the mother and goes, "Must I?" And then she's like, "Yeah." And then the father goes upstairs. But that's it. We don't see the father reprimanding her. We don't see the father saying, "Okay, you're grounded for like I don't know how long." Because I was watching it with my wife and I was like, "Oh my word, if I broke a cookie jar to get my phone, my dad would have taken my phone away, hid it for a month. Minimum.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the movie was trying to highlight something that, parents need to also intervene with discipline. But I don't know. I also didn't feel like that message was driven home enough because it just felt like, it happens.
Yeah, I think it's also very difficult to discipline a child for doing something that you yourself do. So I think it's also got to start with the parents, like setting a good example.
But the mother wasn't on the phone a lot, was she? Not as much as the kids.
No, but she did use the devices. She was watching TV and she was on her tablet at the same time as she was watching TV with her oldest daughter. It's the oldest daughter that didn't have a phone. So, and then the father gets like riled up about stuff he sees on social media and protests that he sees on his way home from work. So,
I understand the lead by example, but still, there has to your child can't be allowed to just break whatever they want.
No. I absolutely agree with the fact that nothing. It's shocking that they didn't show any sort of consequences for her breaking a jar to get her phone out because she couldn't handle being away from her phone for dinner.
Yeah, I think it was like an hour.
So, yeah, it just asked for an hour. That's all the mom asked for, was an hour.
Yeah. And like the one where then there was that deal with the son, right? Like he had to stay away from it for a week or something. And
yes.
There was also, again, there was no consequence because he obviously doesn't last a week. And I'm trying not to give too much away for those who haven't watched it. And he obviously doesn't last a week, but there's, again, no consequence, Like, I don't know, like there's certain parts in that movie that I'm like, they're not highlighting how maybe parents should control this with the kids because, like, they kind of allude to it at the end, like the guys that were working for all these big companies say, like, and these are big guys that developed monetization, they developed like Facebook, they developed a lot of things, Twitter, I think they had the founder of Twitter on there. Um, they all said like they don't let their kids on social media. Okay. Then there's another guy who looks a little bit crazy. He's got the dreads who also says everybody should be off social media. Okay. But it's kind of hard to do that now. Like, so where's the balance? And I felt like the movie was kind of saying, or the documentary was kind of saying, you're either on it or you're not with kids, you know?
Yeah.
And before we get into the statistics of the scary statistics of kids being on social media, my point here is, in your opinion, what is a good balance?
After reading that book, nothing.
So you also stand with the opinion of like just no social media.
Yeah, I think it should be nothing, and especially before they're 16. And yeah, that's going to be really hard in our house because, as you know, Joe, my daughter already has TikTok. But she told me something the other day that quite upset me. Well, not upset me, but it made me think, maybe we do need to take it away. And that's because she had uploaded a video to TikTok, and she wasn't really happy with the video, so she was going to take it down. And she went back onto TikTok to take it down, and she decided no, she can't take it down. She used that word. She can't take it down because it has too many likes and got her too many followers.
Yep, that's the danger of social media with kids. Yeah, your daughter is young. I won't disclose the age, but she's quite young.
I know. I talk openly about their ages. She's 13.
Okay, well, there you go. She's starting of her teens. Very, um, I would say, interesting time, in a female's life. Body's developing, that kind of stuff. And she's got a lot of questions. She's curious. And I think that's what the documentary was trying to highlight, especially, is the younger generation that are on social media that, you know, that are young, in their teens, starting out, are bombarded with opinions, you know, likes, follows, comments. And that's the part that got really scary, because there's a part in the documentary, and I can't remember the exact statistics, but the guy was saying, one of the experts was saying, that suicide in young teenagers
Through the
has
roof.
gone through the roof. Yes, it has. It's scary. It's before social media. They showed like a chart before social media, and it was like low. There was still like suicide rates and all that stuff, but it was like quite low. And then they showed after social media, and it was like probably double, if not triple, the amount of deaths. And yeah, the doctor said it was because of social media. There's a direct correlation because of the image, because of the things that people post. Everybody wants to, I'm living my best life, and it has a serious effect on children.
Yeah, and it's also pretty scary how much what was the name they gave it for the Snapchat filter plastic surgery? Like everybody wants to look as good as the Snapchat filters that you can get, and yeah, I tell my kids, and I think it's also why I'm trying to stick more to just doing live streams with my channel and talking more about current events or politics or whatever. And it's because I don't want to be one of those people that's only posting my highlight reel. And I try to tell my children that, this that you're seeing on there, that's their highlight reel.
Yeah,
That that's not their life isn't all sunshine and roses. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background. And when someone posts a beautiful selfie, and they look amazing and they're on the beach and whatever, I try and like zoom out for them so that they can see that, yes, they might be on a beach, but the beach is also littered. It might be a not so nice beach. It might actually be cold and grey, but they've put like a warm filter on the picture. And so that's made it look like they're having a good time. Like, just showing them the photoshopping and the manipulation and everything, just so that they know that, if they feel like they themselves or their lives aren't as good as what they're seeing out there, that, well, what you're seeing out there isn't real life. So,
Yes, absolutely.
just bear that in mind. Nobody's going to post their real life, their complete real life on the internet, because for one, it'll be boring as hell. And for two, it's, I don't even know what the second point was. Jeez, I'm sorry, my brain is not working tonight, dude.
Yeah, well, on that point, actually, J.C. McFarlane, who tried to, sorry, let me actually say, he tried to clarify how to pronounce his name, but then he said he can't send a voice note. So
Ah,
we won't know. We'll never know. But I'm going to say McFarlane. We had a South African girl suing Facebook last month to get the details of a person who threatened her on Instagram. Now, Instagram is another evil that's not being talked about a lot. And it goes to your point. Instagram is like the world where, or I don't know, it's the platform where everyone's like, I'm living my best life. There's no one ever posts really something sad, you know?
no.
Not a lot anyway. Like Facebook, you see a lot of different things. You see statuses, you see I'm feeling good about this, I'm feeling bad about this, ranting, videos, different kinds of video sharing videos. But Instagram is all about me, 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 me. And I think that's where people see like this beautiful, scenic background with some good-looking person in the forefront, and then they're like, "Oh, I want that," you know. And then kids kind of see that, and then they're like, "Oh, but I want to do that. I want," and then they see all these other girls posing or men posing, and they think that's cool and that's what you should do, which is a very bad influence as well. And let's not forget, I think McFarlane also touching on something very important here is the toxicity with these social media. Russell McLaren saying Instagram is thought central. Yeah,
Yeah,
THOT.
pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that's the correct way, Joe. Okay, fantastic. It's McFarlane. Cool. So, yes, touching on the toxicity of social media, like I think that's what really. It's one thing for kids to strive to for the likes and the follows and the subscriptions and all that stuff, but it's a whole other thing when they start getting attacked, threatened. Um, that for me is the more dangerous, in my opinion, the more dangerous, because the emotional abuse you get from that, cyberbullying, basically. And cyberbullying is something that we should take very, very seriously, because too many times people get away with it. And I know it's a very difficult subject to talk about, because what is cyberbullying really? I think we're still trying to figure that out. Like, what constitutes cyberbullying? Is it swearing at someone on social media? But then again, it's social media. You don't like someone, just block them. So it gets very, very, yeah, I don't know. Maybe McFarlane can give us a bit of insight on that, because he is a lawyer. What would constitute as cyberbullying, if you know? McFarlane, let
Yeah.
us know.
Joe, I think I'm struggling a bit with my Wi-Fi. Do you want to turn your video off on the Skype call, please?
Okay.
Because you're breaking up a bit. I managed to follow what you were saying, but I'm worried it's not going to be.
How's that?
There we go. Yeah, that should sort it out. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like it's hard even in person, Joe, to figure out, is a kid being bullied in school, or do they just need to toughen up a little bit? You know, are they just being a little bit sensitive because they're I don't want to use the word snowflake because I don't think that children are snowflakes. I think some children are just more sensitive and need to learn how to deal with um, conflict or confrontation better. So it's yeah, it's I would really battle to figure out what's the difference between bullying and just normal discourse. I
Yeah.
think that can be hard.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest problems that was highlighted in this documentary. Now, it's like that chart of suicide and stuff. It's scary stuff, man. And I think that they did bring up some good points. So maybe we should talk a bit about some of the, I think maybe solutions to help these parents. They were talking at the end of the documentary about how maybe putting a curfew. Like the one doctor was saying, treat it like gaming, for example. Like I remember when I was growing up, my parents, I had consoles and I used to play games a lot. And my parents were always like, okay, well, after dinner and after you're done with your homework, you get an hour to play with your PlayStation or whatever. There was like a reward system in that way. So the doctor was suggesting the same thing. Like, okay, cool. Well, after dinner, after homework, you get to be on whatever platform for an hour, and that's it. Because yeah, and then they were saying also there should be an age restriction. So for parents, maybe they should only allow their kids to be on or have access to social media when they're 16 and above. How do you feel about that? Or do you still say no?
Uh, I'm getting very overprotective as my kids get older and can interact more uh, by themselves. And so my first instinct is to say no, but I do think that I think 16 is like a given. It 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 needs to be a given. I don't know how I'm going to walk it back in my own life, to be honest. I'm saying these things and I have no idea how I'm going to apply them in my own life. So please don't hold me to this. Please don't judge me. Just like this is how I'm feeling right now, and it's a problem that we're sitting with, and we haven't figured out how to resolve it yet. So, but yeah, I think the age restriction of 16 is fair. And yes, the time limits or the at least having designated times or stuff like that, and also know what your kids are up to. Like we discussed this before with Yanni about kids and tech, and how some parents are just leaving their kids out to go play on an unsupervised playground, basically, and they don't know what they're doing. So that would be my utopia. I don't know if we'll get there,
Well,
but
don't feel bad because you're saying like oh, I don't know how I'm going to implement it in our own lives. I think there's millions of parents that would have watched that documentary and thought the same thing. Like, crap, how am I going to implement this in my own home? And for you, you have 3 kids, so it gets tricky because if you start doing it to the one and you're not doing it to the other, then it's like a fight, and it's like, yeah, but he gets to and she gets to, and look, I understand that this is a very complex issue that we're talking about here, but I think what we need to bring across more importantly than anything else is at the end of the day, this is a serious problem. Social media, when it came into our society, at the beginning was very fun. Oh, cool, let's do this, let's all get on it. We get to meet people that we haven't seen in years, blah, blah. But now it's affecting the younger generation in a way that probably we didn't even know could. So yes, we've made a bit of a mistake by not realizing the effects that this can have on our young and their psyche. So don't feel bad. I think everybody's going through this, and that's why we're having this conversation. The best thing we can try and do now is perhaps give some suggestions. And even if it's a suggestion that you're worried that you can't implement, well, we'll have a follow-up interview and then we'll see if you have. And if you did, how? Because I'm sure a lot of other parents would like to know how too. And it's something, even at the end of the documentary, they say it's something we're still figuring out. But yeah. I have a few things here. Okay, so JC, okay, so let me start with Amy. White Noise Podcast, Carter says, if I have kids, they will have a 3310. I don't know if you remember that phone. It's
Can I borrow your 3310, Carter, until you have kids? Because I don't have one.
And then Amy asking what age for a mobile phone then? I would say 16.
No. I do believe that we live in a world where we are used to being able to phone our kids directly, to arrange lifts and check that they got home safe and stuff like that. These are all things that I don't have to worry about. I am at home with my children all the time. If I'm in charge of doing their running around and everything like that, so that's not an issue for me. I think if you want to be able to get hold of your 5-year-old, for example, because they're with granny for the weekend, or maybe parents are separated and they're with the other parent for the weekend, just give them a straight up phone that has no internet access, and don't for 1 second think that you can block it, because they'll get around it. Okay, so either have something installed on it that will make sure that they cannot get onto the internet unsupervised, or just get them a non-smartphone, and then you can phone them, and once they can read and write, you can still text message. I believe SMS bundles are still a thing. Don't know why, but they are. And yeah, keep in touch that way. And yeah, I think we've got too used to having tech in our lives and being at the other end of a keyboard from each other, that to do away with it completely, and do away with being in touch with our children completely, is not realistic. I think we need to find workable ways around keeping them off consuming and posting on social media. And, just use tech in smart ways that, okay, you can only use this phone for YouTube, and you can only watch such and such videos on YouTube. And, you can check your kids' watch history. You can check that they're keeping up their end of the bargain. And if you realize that they're not keeping up their end of the bargain because they're going and watching stuff that you don't agree with, then the consequence is you take it away.
No, I agree with that. Reward system is very important. That's how my dad and my parents, my mom and my dad treated me. Not treated me, but that's how they raised me. If you want something, work for it, and keep your end of the bargain. Yeah, so I think this was a continuation to what Amy was saying. She says, because WhatsApp is another place where bullying takes place. So I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I guess people text you terrible things. That's mean. But I don't know. Like, I could be wrong. Again, I don't have kids. But like, if I imagine that if I had a kid and they're like 13 or whatever, and someone is bullying them on WhatsApp, they come to me like, "Oh, Bob said this about me." There's a number, so you can kind of find out who that person is, and then contact the parents and be like, "Hey, your child said this to my kid. You know, I don't know. Is that a thing? Does that happen?
Um, yeah, our story was a little bit different, and I monitored the conversation, and then eventually I just said, you know what, just take a break, just take a break. You guys aren't getting along. You're just fighting. Just take a break for a while, and that like seemed to have sorted it out. So, but also now WhatsApp is no longer installed because SIM cards got removed and lost and blah blah, and now we can't get back on it. And I'm just not really feeling the list to go and get another replacement SIM card. So we're leaving it at that. Done.
Right.
And we have time limits on like Roblox. Actually, we blocked Roblox completely. Yeah, we've blocked Roblox because they were just sitting and chatting and playing on Roblox all day and then fighting over whose turn it was. So I was just like, you know what? You guys can't figure this out, so that's it. That URL's blocked. Um, and yeah, there's time limits for Wi-Fi access and stuff. So yeah,
Right.
that's how we're dealing with it.
All right. Sounds good. JC McFarlane saying cyberbullying is all about what you post about other people, including
Mm-hmm.
doxing, or what you comment. But I would say that there should be repeated incidents on people posts, dignity, etc. So okay, that clears it up for me as well. So I didn't know doxing was included in that. Um, but yeah, people that post, yeah, that's basically it. So anything that's okay, that clears that up. Um, so let's see here. Carter saying parents that give children tablets and phones to keep them busy are doing much more harm than good. That's a very good point.
Mm.
I've, but it's a difficult one because now you're almost going into that side of the conversation where we're now telling parents like this is how you should parent, and then when you do that with parents, like I imagine you don't want people telling you how to parent.
Yeah, look, if a parent is using a phone or a tablet or some screen, even if it's just DSTV to babysit their kids, then no, I do think that you can we should be calling that out, you know. Like I understand as a mom, sometimes you just want to go have a shower and not have an audience, okay? And so then, yeah, if putting them in front of Teletubbies or whatever will get you that, go for it. Um, but yeah, to use the TV as a babysitter or a phone or a tablet as a babysitter, why did you have kids?
Fair point.
Like, do you not want to have a relationship with your child?
It's true. But Beth,
Like, I don't get it.
some parents work, you know, both of them work and they don't have time.
All the more reason for them to not be on fucking screens when they get home, Joe. Sorry, I just swore.
It's okay.
I can't help myself. I can't learn about this video now. Sorry.
It's okay.
Um,
I swear all the time. It's fine. You can't
so,
excessively swear on YouTube, and you shouldn't swear at the beginning of a video. But we're way past the beginning, so that's fine. Um,
okay.
they don't mind. It's only if you like saying the F word like every other second.
And I drink.
But it's fine. I know you're very passionate about this thing, about this stuff, especially when it comes to kids, and you know we've spoken privately about this stuff as well. But yeah, I just want to add to your comment here. So you have the same issues with age-restricted games and younger kids playing. The end up they end up cheating their age for potentially violent content that the parents don't parent. This is from Yanni
Yeah,
speaking about
yeah,
gaming. Um,
absolutely.
this is going to your point of like where you said like yeah they'll find a way around it if you block something or try and
Yeah, kids are clever, hey. They know more about tech than we even know they know. Like, yeah.
mm,
You don't know what you don't know.
exactly.
That that's really profound.
Mm.
It's really profound. But anyway, yes.
Amy says I don't agree with that. Maybe 12. I think okay. So when I was growing up, phones are like oh my word, they were at the beginning of like. Do you remember the Sony Ericsson phone?
Yes.
Like that just had pixels, like it was just black and white pixels. There was no camera or even internet access, literally phone and SMS, that's it. So those are the phones I had growing up, and I only got I got hand-me-downs from my parents. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not complaining. Thank you, Dad. Um, and I think the first phone I ever got was when I was, I think, 14. I think I could have been 15 even. And okay, fine, those phones do not have anywhere near the capability or tech that the phones do nowadays. But I would imagine that if I was a parent, I would also choose maybe my kid to only have a phone around 12 and only be able to get on social media around 16. I think that's a reasonable. I don't know. I agree with the 16 on social media. That's just me.
Mm.
Um,
I was horrified when they lowered the age on Instagram and Facebook to 13. Horrified.
I didn't even know there was an age restriction.
Yeah. It was 16, now it's 13.
I did not know that. Okay, so
Mm.
JC McFarlane adding the only problem is parents don't have that control when they are at friends or at school. Yeah, when the kids are at friends or at school, parents don't have control. It's true. But then maybe the
That's
schools.
why that's why I give them a just a telephone. Just a telephone, not a smartphone, just a telephone, because I understand the world is a different place to when you and I were growing up, Joe. When I was growing up, there was no such thing as cell phones. Okay, yes, I'm that old. I think my sister got her, she was the first one to get a cell phone in the family, and I was in like grade 11. I nearly said standard 9, but it's grade 11 now. That's, you know, but we had public phones. So if I had a problem at school, I always had 20 cents in my pocket that if I needed to phone my mother, I could phone her.
Hmm.
Um, there was also a reverse charge thing then. So there was that. Um, public phones just don't exist anymore.
Hmm.
So I think kids do need to have a phone in case they're in trouble. Um,
That's fair. That's fair.
so
Um,
yeah,
so the joking atheist has a question. If you suspect your child is wrongdoing, as a parent, can you sneak on their phones and spy on their conversations? Bit of a
of
moral
course you
question.
should. Of course you should.
Boom, super mom telling it how it is.
Sure. I mean, when you know, I no, but think about it. Think about it logically, Joe. The first time you brought a girl home or you went to go visit a girl, did her parents let you just sit in the bedroom with the door closed? No.
No.
So if you think your kids are up to no good on their phone, yes, take the phone. Ask them for it. If they won't give it to you, tell them, well, then there goes your Wi-Fi access, and I'm canceling your contract, so you won't have mobile data, nothing. No, I'm sorry. Parents need to start parenting.
Boom. Boom. Telling it how it
Sorry.
is. I like it. No, I like it. It has motor and developmental consequences. Okay, so this is from
It
White Noise
does.
Podcast. Um,
It does.
it is fair for an hour or two. Meant this more at parents that give them tablets all day, every day. Yes.
Yes. That's how I took that he meant it as well.
Yeah.
Using it as a complete babysitter, just completely checking out of their kids' lives. Yeah.
And
I
then
have 3 kids that are homeschool. I need to have something to give 2 of them when one of them needs one-on-one attention. And I mean, they're not triplets, the curriculum varies. Obviously, I use tech.
yeah.
And we're talking about extreme cases where, kids are in school all day and then they come home and they're on screens all night. And there's no family connection. And Carter also had another question about what you do with phones when you're with friends or whatever. And yeah, half the reason why I don't post any pictures on social media is not just for security reasons. It's because I never take my phone out of my handbag. I like barely take my phone out of my handbag when I'm out. And at dinner time, the phones are not even anywhere near the table. They're in another room. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, for me, this is all. It's a different time that we're living in. Like at the end of the day, the reality of social media. Because now we've kind of gone towards phones and tablets and stuff like that, but that's where you access this stuff, and your computer as well. It's different times we're living in now. Like, and I say that and I sound like such an old man, but it's I always think back to when I was growing up, and before social media, before Twitter, before all these like crazy platforms, before phones even had cameras. And I was going outside and I was playing, I was skateboarding, I was meeting friends, meeting people, talking. And I used to say to someone like, "Hey, will you be my friend in person?" Um, and now, while I understand the benefits of social media from a branding perspective, so for a company that wants more followers and wants to sell their product, that makes absolute perfect sense. But I'm starting to question now if, yeah, kids should even have, access to this stuff. And I don't know, I'm leaning more and more towards we need to start having stricter screen time. That's it. I mean, in the documentary, again, they had interviews with the kids. They asked them, "How long do you think you're on the phone?" And I think 2 of them were like, I'm on the phone for like an hour or 2 a day or something like that, or 3 hours a day or 4 hours a day. But then when they checked their screen time on their phone, it said like 11 hours. So people actually, or kids don't actually realize how long they're on the screen for, and that's a big problem. So the joking atheist saying kids should not be given phones; they should bloody earn them. You could be my father right now. That's that's something my father would say. So Yanni saying my first phone was a Nokia 3210. I think I had the same one with a blue cover. Got it in 1999 when he was 18 years old. He matriculated in 1998 when I was 17. For what it's worth. Yeah. Okay. Let's see, I'm just going to go down a bit. Yeah, so Yanni also adding, I think Beth means don't use tech as a pacifier for children. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a perfect way of saying it as well. All right, so going back to the topic at hand, how tech has influenced adolescents. You brought up that book. Can you tell us a bit about
Yes.
that book?
Um, yeah, people already think I'm a transphobe, so it's okay. So basically, this book is. Can I read one of the reviews? Because it just.
Sure.
Abigail Schreier has written a deeply compassionate and utterly sobering account of an unprecedented and reckless social experiment whose test subjects are the bodies and psyches of most of the most emotionally vulnerable among us. Um, So anyway, this book is specifically about girls that all of a sudden, at a certain age, either um, commencing high school or going to college, are identifying as transgender with no history of gender dysphoria before. So typically, what you would find with a person that identifies as transsexual, and yes, I'm using the correct term, not the SJW term, they would have been displaying hatred towards the sex that they were born at from toddlerhood. That's generally what happens with this very small minority that is affected by gender dysphoria. But now, all of a sudden, because of social media influences, there's the psychiatric and psychological industries are playing a huge role in it as well. They get told, oh, well, you've hit adolescence and nothing makes sense because there's hormones rushing through your body and your body's changing and you don't really like it. You're probably transgender. And yeah, it's frightening. Like, really, if you have kids, or even if you just have kids in your life that you care about, I urge you to read this book because it is well researched. It has been well received by transsexuals. It's a thing. It really is a thing. And we're talking about girls that don't really fit in at school. And they find this whole welcoming community online that affirms everything that they say, and they feel like they belong at long last. And yeah, social media has played a huge role in it.
Wow.
And yeah. I'm trying to get Abigail on my show.
Oh, that would be great. That'd be great. All right, so basically, and I think Dr. DNA and I have touched on this before, slightly. Maybe not with with the kids. So basically, when they're going through puberty and it's a time of confusion, I mean, we all go through that. I went through that. I was a rebel to some extent, like, maybe not with sexuality, but like, confused, didn't know, confused in the sense of like, I don't know who I am. I, would hang out with certain people that may have not been okay to hang around. We're confused at a young age, and I think we all want that sense of belonging at a young age. And what's that?
Amy's asking for the name of the book.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah, Irreversible Damage. And I think this is why it's important for there to be an age restriction with social media, because just like, I mean, we can back this up to a more practical example. Movies, sitcoms, stuff like that. They have an age restriction for a reason. It's not just because maybe like Game of Thrones, for example, it's not rated, I think it was 18 or something, or maybe even 16, which is crazy. But, there are movies that are rated a certain age limit and a certain, like, rated R, 18 and above, and so on and so forth, because kids aren't supposed to watch it, because they might be influenced, it might confuse them, it might give the wrong message. Your brain develops throughout your teens. I think your brain is only completely developed in your mid-20s, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
No, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, so because your brain is still developing, you're also figuring out who you are. And during that time, you can become, or you are, very influential with certain things. And therefore, when you are young and you're in a world that you don't completely understand and don't understand the consequences, don't understand the impact that this could have on the rest of your life, very dangerous territory to be in. I'm in no way saying that transgender, everyone's like mistaken. Like, of course not. I know that.
No.
I know a lot of people that, they've been battling with that feeling, like you said, since they were young. They've always felt they weren't a man or they weren't a woman and stuff like that. So that's understandable. That makes sense. But I'm talking about an individual and a young kid that doesn't have those feelings, but because they think it's cool that someone is maybe a guy but acting like a woman, not acting but is a woman, and they think, oh, well, I want to be that, because they don't understand, but they see that that person has like 1 million followers. So they're like, oh, well, if I act like that, I'm going to have 1 million followers. That's how they think. That's how simple and innocent that thought process is. It's just like when they see daddy at a young age shaving, like my dad. I used to watch my dad shave all the time, and I was like, oh, I want to shave, but I didn't have any hair. I was like, oh, I want to shave. I want to shave. I want to shave. I don't understand. I don't know why I don't have any hair on my face. And now I hate shaving, clearly. So, so it's that kind of innocence that actually causes confusion, and that's why age restriction is actually very important. So yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, geez, it's like you read the book, Joe. It's like, yeah, pretty much.
My conversation with DNA was very similar to what we're talking about now.
It was, yeah, that's true. That's true. It was, yeah.
So if anybody wants to go watch that, you're welcome to. All right, so I do have to head off in 7 minutes because I'm on a live stream with Chris Wyatt, and he's going to start soon, I think. So for those of you who want to, you can join me on Chris Wyatt's channel. Otherwise, let me just take some of the comments here. Is there anything you want to add to this subject?
I just want to say Carter's posted the description of Joe Rogan's interview with Abigail Shrier that Spotify is trying to get removed now off of Spotify, and they want Joe Rogan removed because apparently he's a transphobe. Definitely go give that podcast a listen. Obviously, it's not all the complete information that's in the book, but it's a good summary, and it made me want to buy the book. So yeah.
Okay. And JC McFarland saying, there's PG rated shows. Anything that requires a parent isn't actually appropriate then for kids to watch, ?
Yeah, anything that's rated PG, I either watch it with the kids, and if something comes up that I don't feel like confronting with them, I turn it off. Or I watch it first and say, yeah, this is okay for you to watch, and then let them watch. It all depends on, your kid. I know what my kids are emotionally capable of handling. Like there's certain episodes of Grey's Anatomy that I know I can watch with my daughter, and there's certain episodes that I definitely won't ever want to watch with her.
Yeah. I think Dan Workman saying, cheers, Joe, thanks. So thanks for tuning in, buddy. Hope to see you again soon. All right, so let me see here. The Joking Atheist asking a question. Part 2 of the question. Replace your child with your husband. Would the same rules apply, and if not, why not?
Well, my husband is mature. My husband's brain is fully developed. My husband can make his own decisions without fucking up the rest of his life. Like, of course the same rules don't apply.
Yeah. That happens. Yeah, people yeah, that's also something I've never understood. Like, it's almost like people try and catch you out with that question. I'm not saying that you're joking atheist is, but I'm just saying that is an argument that people make. And it's like, again, we're giving too much power to kids. Giving them way too much power. I think there seems to be this thing now where people think, there's a group of people that think that kids can make their own choices, and that kids know what they want, and that kids have a sense of self-awareness that adults have, and that's just not true. Again, a child's brain is not developed. They don't know. A child needs to be reared. A child needs to be taught certain things. In the wild, a lioness will teach its cub how to hunt. They don't just, oh, well, there you go. Fend for yourself. Like,
No, that's snakes.
yeah. But then there's instinct, you see. And they forget about that. Like, there's instinct in the animal kingdom. But humans may have some form of instinct, yes, but we need to be taught. We need to be reared. We need to be told by our parents, this is wrong, this is right. This is what you do when you do this, this is what you do when you do that. If you want to hold a fork, you need to hold it like this. If you want to hold a pen, you need to hold it like that. It's why we go to school. It's why we get taught. And I think humans by nature want to learn. We're not a species that doesn't want to learn. And yeah, so that argument has always baffled me. Like, we're talking about kids, guys.
We'll talk one day about how we dabbled in unschooling, Joe. And then that'll be another conversation that we can have.
Oh, I'd love to. That'd be interesting. So everyone's saying you're a great mom. Amy's saying you're a great mom. Count Wantenkomp saying super mom and Joe. Beth is awesome. Absolutely, way too much power. She says she wants to talk. Amy says she wants to talk to you about this offline. And then
she knows how to get hold of me.
Yeah, the joker, the joking atheist. So you think an adult is not capable of fucking up their entire lives? I think some adults are far less responsible than some really great kids out there.
Yeah, but they also will pay the consequences for it. Like, you know.
We're talking about extreme cases. We're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just end off on this. There is no. I think the best advice we can give to anybody watching this who is a parent is just take care of your kids. I always say this: take care of your kids. Keep an eye on them. Try not to be fooled by them. Let's be honest. Kids eventually do know how to manipulate parents. We've all been kids. I tried. I'm not gonna lie. And so take care of your kids, especially in today's world. There's crazy things that are happening in today's world, and your kids. It's not about being overprotective or anything like that. We live in a world where tech has very good benefits to it, but at the same time, there's an evil side to it. And if you're not careful, your kids can be heavily influenced by these evils. Now, having said that, I think what people should take away from the show is just think about how much time your child is spending on social media.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Try with the idea of, okay, only an hour after dinner or whatever. Toy with some ideas, figure it out. At the end of the day, you guys know your kids better than we do. We're just talking about this because this is something that needs to be spoken about. It is something that people need to be made more aware of. That's it. We're not telling you how to raise your kids. But again, the topic does need to be spoken about. And to get more information, please go watch Netflix, The Social Dilemma. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again, I'll say this as well for the joking atheist. It's not a blanket statement. Like, obviously, there are some kids that, for whatever reason, they're strong, they mature faster than than normal. They find their way, and that's great. Awesome. Nothing wrong with that. And some adults are messed up. Yes, absolutely. We're not. It's a very complicated issue, that's for sure. Beth, do you have anything to add?
I don't. Yeah, I think we covered it all. I think it really is something that we're going to be figuring out as we go along and as platforms change more and more and evolve, and some will die and some will live on, and yeah, we'll. My favorite phrase is like when everybody's saying, how did you become such a good mom? I was like, dude, I make it up as I go along. Really,
Yeah.
really, I do. And I follow my gut, and that's all I can do.
Yeah. And that's the
So,
thing. Everybody can just do the best that they possibly can. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So Beth, thank you so much for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. Please go subscribe to Beth Eleutheria ZA. The link is in the description below, I believe, I hope. And if it's not, I will add it after the show. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I have interesting guests on my show almost every night, except for weekends. And give this video a like if you enjoyed its content. If you have any other questions, please. Beth and I might be willing to come back and talk about this again. If you have any questions that we missed, please leave it in the comment section below if you're watching this after the fact. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hop over to Chris Wyatt's channel so you can join me there. Otherwise, I'll be back here tomorrow night with another guest. So please join me then. And if I don't see you then stay safe, be kind to one another, and I'll see you at the next one. Cheers. Hey guys, so if you enjoyed the show, please consider giving it a like and a share. Don't forget to subscribe as well if you're new to my channel. And if you really enjoyed the content, feel free to join and become a member. Don't forget about my fight against cancel culture. That's in the link in the description below. Support my fight against cancel culture. Go to that link and all the information is there. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching.